Lagos, Nigeria. This is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Federal government denies signing any binding agreements with Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. National Economic Council expresses concern over new vaccine-resistant polio virus. Orders states to step up immunization. European leaders outraged as UK Prime Minister warns Russia against senseless killing following latest strikes on Kyiv.
In business, Nigeria approves preparations for next medium-term national development plan covering 2026 to 2030.
In sports, 2025-26 UEFA Champions League draw throws up potentially exciting matches with Europe's biggest teams set to lock horns.
Tonight begins now. Many thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the ongoing impasse over unmet demands of the Nigerian lecturers. Now, the federal government has denied ever signing any binding agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. Education Minister Dr. Tunji Alausa on Thursday clarified this in Abuja. The documents cited by ASUU from 2009 to 2011 were proposals, not signed contracts. Dr. Alausa said the administration of President Bola Tinubu remains committed to resolving the university lecturers' lingering issues, but dismissed rumors of a scheduled meeting involving the Minister of Labour as inaccurate. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities says Nigerians should hold the federal government accountable for any further disruptions to the academic calendar. At a press conference held at the University of Lagos, ASUU's Lagos Zonal Coordinator Adeola Nasir said the union's warning comes after a series of unproductive meetings with government agencies and a peaceful protest that yielded no results. Earlier, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has threatened to shut down critical infrastructures nationwide if the federal government fails to meet the demands of lecturers.
The right of ASUU to embark on strike when all efforts yield no meaningful result is recognized by the labor laws. Our members are being owed various entitlements. Now, when the Minister of Education expressed the wish of government that there will be no strike by unions in tertiary institutions, one would think this will immediately be matched with action. Unfortunately, all we have been doing is talking and holding series of meetings with government agencies without results. It's a clear case of movement without motion. What else would anyone do in this situation? Whatever happens next, Nigerians should hold government responsible, not ASUU.
Let's now turn to Ahmed Soja, former Information and Protocol Officer at Adamawa State University, Mubi, as well as Eniola Orowole, Public Relations Officer of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. Gentlemen, thank you very much for obliging us tonight. I'll start with you, Ahmed, and just 2009 and 2011. For the longest time, we've had this citation by ASUU that there was an agreement signed with the federal government. And today we're hearing something contrary. How do you respond to the Minister of Education? Is he correct in his assertion that it was not a contract but a proposal? Ahmed, if you can hear me, the question is for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I want to say that the dimensions are multiple. First and foremost, if ASUU says it has an agreement signed with government, with the federal government of Nigeria, they are absolutely right. But again, if this government says they have not signed an agreement with ASUU, they are also right. because the agreement that the agreement was signed with government of and it's been it passed through the government of President Goodluck Jonathan, passed through the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. But we are also aware that by this time last year, or by December 2024, there was a review of the agreement that was supposed to have been signed afresh with the current government. That review was presented around February or thereabout this year, but the government felt that there were gray areas that needed to be addressed and be presented to ASUU as a counter proposal to the original agreement that was signed with ASUU. The government followed it up, we understand, with a 50 billion naira grant to offset some of the earned allowances and postgraduate supervision allowances. But at present, that agreement has not been signed. It remains a draft. So what is creating this problem is that, look, that this agreement has lingered for too long. From 2009 to date, I think it's not fair, it's not just, and it's not good for our country. Both governments and institutions within the government should be more committed to implementing agreements that have been reached with whoever, not just ASUU, but any other person.
I mean, that's
but
the
I
fight.
understand that the current Minister of Education had said very clearly that they are being meticulous because they want an agreement that will be implementable. That's his own position, that it has to be an agreement that is implementable, and it involves multiple sectors. The Attorney General's office, the Accountant General's office, the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education, Salaries and Wages Commission, all of the multiple agencies that are concerned with resolving these issues.
All right, Ahmed, I wanted to just butt in and ask you about the claims. For the past couple of days, we've been hearing protests, peaceful protests by ASUU about the situation with the federal government. But in his statement today, the minister did say that any talks about a meeting is incorrect. So where does that leave this agitation to get their attention? It seems the protest is not working. The minister is saying there is no planned meeting. Where are we right now?
No, I think what really is happening is that, of course, the protest by ASUU is legitimate. There are issues of concern with their own welfare, with the entire education sector. You know, in the tertiary education sector, there are multiple requirements. Most of those requirements are short because of facilities and infrastructure. None of the universities operates within its own carrying capacity, which is very key in determining the quality of graduates that we churn out. None of them have some of the, or most of them don't have the facilities that will aid them in producing graduates that can compete, not just nationally, but internationally. I think that's a legitimate concern. Of course, their welfare, the salary structure, and the welfare structure is such that
so a lot
of them are moving.
Ahmed, I'm not sure you got my question, right? We're not arguing about the validity of their concerns. Everyone agrees that the lecturers have a case. But I'm looking at the, Eniola, please, I'll come to you. I just want to get some clarifications. We're looking at what the reality is today. ASUU has given an ultimatum that if a certain deadline passes, they will engage in industrial action. But the federal government's body language, if we're listening to the Minister of Education, is that, first off, there was no signed contract. And then secondly, there is no meeting, even in the pipeline, between the lecturers and the government. So that means it doesn't look like a headway is happening.
I think that may not be entirely correct.
Okay, enlighten us.
No, that may not be entirely correct, and I want to be very clear. That may not be entirely correct. The Minister of Education had stated very clearly that he has invited ASUU for a meeting, but ASUU said the invitation has not reached them, but that the meeting is going to be holistic, is going to involve multiple agencies. That's what the minister said. What we are appealing to both government and ASUU is that interruptions in the academic activities in Nigeria is affecting both our image as a country.
Let's go to some of those who are impacted by this. In your lives with us, I want to ask you if this new development is going to impact your decision to shut down critical infrastructures across the country, or you might reconsider, seeing as whether we like the response or not, there has been a response from the federal government via the Minister of Education.
Well, good evening, and thanks for having me. It is very unfortunate that that statement is coming from the minister. Very unfortunate. We will give them a little more time to negotiate, because this, I want to say this first, the issue of using strike as an instrument to coerce the federal government to yield to the request of the lecturers is an outdated method. It's outdated, it is mundane and unacceptable. The lecturers can look for another means of getting the government attention instead of using the lives and the years of the students as a battlefield for their interests to be protected.
Eniola, I actually asked a specific question as to whether today's statement from the federal government is going to impact your decision to shut down critical infrastructure. And may I add to that, what would be the purpose of shutting down these infrastructure? Would it be in support of the lecturers or in agitation? Because you're sounding like you're unhappy with the threat of another strike.
Well, as I'm talking to you now, I'm in Odo State. The strike have started at Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko. As I'm talking to you, the lecturers are on strike. It's not a threat. It's happening already. The impact the statement of the minister is going to have on our decision is for us to give them a little more time. And the decision to shut down major infrastructure in the country is in support of the lecturers. As I'm talking to you now, lecturers are underpaid. The issue of IPPIs is there. The issue of subventions that's coming to universities are there. These lecturers are suffering. They are being treated as a second citizen in Nigeria. People that are supposed to train, mold lives of undergraduates to face challenges of the future are being frustrated. Most lecturers in universities are not concentrating anymore because of the conditions they are facing and the treatment the federal government and even the state government are meting out to them. So it's very unfortunate, and we will not take it. But we'll give the federal government a little more time for them to negotiate, and we'll see what goes on as from next week.
Okay, when you heard the minister say that every contract that the ASUU has been alluding to, the 2009 and 2011, that it was just a proposal, there's been no commitment from government. Again, does this shed more light for you, or do you think that 2009, do you believe, ASUU, that there was a contract that the government is reneging on?
Well, it is very unfortunate that the lives of students are being politicized. It is not even a secondary school student knows that there was an agreement between ASUU and the federal government in 2009. Everybody knows that. It's very unfortunate the minister is coming out to say there was no agreement, it was also a proposal. There was an agreement, definitely, and that agreement has not been implemented. ASUU is saying this is very simple. Implement this. All the agitations of the lecturers are captured in this agreement. Even in the recent Yayale report in February, all these things are captured there. So there was an agreement, definitely. Right. There was an agreement, and the government to lead to it. That is just a very simple arithmetic.
All right, Ahmed, if I may ask, how does it make you feel to hear that students are going to shut down critical infrastructure in support of lecturers because they feel that they have been wrongfully treated over time?
Yeah, what's the question, please? Can you?
Okay, I'll quickly recap. I'm asking, Eniola has been speaking, and he says that the students are embarking on this shutdown. Though they're giving the government some time now, they're going to embark on it in support of lecturers because they've been ill-treated over time and their demands need to be met. How does that make you feel about the proposal to go on strike?
Well, let me first of all correct something. Definitely the agreement with 09 had become, it's supposed to be a little bit obsolete. And definitely there was a review in 2024. And that review is the one that is in contention now. And that review should be more holistic than the one of 2009. Now, in the case of students, supporting lecturers, I think it's a right thing, it's a legitimate thing, because when the lecturers go on strike, the people that suffer most are the students, other than their parents. Because all of us suffer. We have children in these public universities. We know what we go through when they stay, and then when they have to return back to school. We know what happens when they stay longer than the period they are. So students have a legitimate reason to express concerns that their lecturers should be supported so that their academic activities are not disrupted. But I would caution very wisely that the issue of disrupting infrastructure, critical infrastructure, is not advisable, it's not necessary, and that our children should be very careful and cautious in taking certain decisions.
I guess that's a wise counsel and a good place to leave this conversation, sir. We're out of time. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time, Ahmed. And Eniola, thank you for being here as well. Coming up tonight, Nigerian Immigration hikes passport application fees. We'll bring you that report and more when we return. Glad you're still with us. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government denies signing any binding agreements with Academic Staff Union of Universities. National Economic Council expresses concern over new vaccine-resistant poliovirus. Orders states to step up immunization. European leaders outraged as UK Prime Minister warns Russia against senseless killing following latest strikes on Kiev. The Nigerian Immigration Service has announced an upward review of the cost of obtaining the Nigerian Standard Passport, effective September 1, 2025. According to a statement signed by the Service Public Relations Officer, ACI AS Akinlabi, the new fees will apply only to applications made within Nigeria. The statement reads that the review, which only affects passport application fees made in Nigeria, now set a new fee threshold for 32-page with 5-year validity at 100,000 naira and 64-page with 10-year validity at 200,000 naira. However, the statement also clarified that application fees for Nigerians in the diaspora remain unchanged. Now, activities of some online loan companies, widely regarded as loan sharks, continue to raise serious concerns among Nigerians. Victims who are unable to repay their loans often face unbearable pressure, with some slipping into depression and, in extreme cases, even resorting to suicide. My colleague, Victor Mbadike, has more on this.
One of my introduced me to the loan, that I can get a loan. So from there, I can survive with it, not knowing that it will lead me to where I am.
The first port of call for low-income earners, who are predominantly the most affected, is often no longer a bank or a family member. It's right here on their phones. They are called digital loan apps, promising instant cash with just a few steps, but sadly has now become a nightmare.
In fact, I was thinking about committing suicide, but I looked at my children. I said, if I kill myself, nobody is going to look at these children.
Victims are trapped. Lenders do not care. They just want their money with interest.
This experience is terrible, I tell you. It's very terrible. In fact, it is an instant help, and after that, now wahala.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, in its recent release on X, has promised to periodically monitor interest rates of loan apps to protect customers' interest and ensure rates are not exploitative. Take, for instance, a borrower who collects just 10,000 naira. Within 1 week, they're expected to repay 12,500 naira. That's a 25% interest in only 7 days. If you fail to pay and roll it over monthly, that's more than 100% interest in 4 weeks. In another case, a loan of 50,000 naira comes with a 30% interest plus hidden fees. By the end of 2 weeks, the borrower must return 70,000 naira, losing almost half the borrowed amount to interest alone. And for those who cannot meet the deadline, harassment is the next step.
You are the one that is making it difficult for people that are borrowing, unable to pay.
Ola, a single mother of 3 who has had a fair share of vicious attacks from these loan sharks, had to relocate to Lagos State for a possible fresh start. Ola has lost count of apps she's borrowed from, with over 200,000 naira to pay back. She wished she could turn back the hands of time.
So they were looking for me with police, so I ran away. Well, coming from Ogun State, coming down to Lagos, you know, when I'm thinking about how I left home because of loan, I was seriously depressed. I was seriously depressed though, because at the time I was thinking of just committing suicide. Maybe that would just sort everything. But when I remember, I have 3 children. And my husband said he's not aware of the loan, that I cannot pay. So what will I do? And I have to feed my children. So that was when I changed my thoughts.
Victims who most likely receive messages like these often end up in bad states and, in extreme cases, commit suicide.
They do disturb. That it gets to a point, it gets to a time that I have to be blocking all their numbers. Anytime they call, I'll block it. They'll use another number again, I'll block it. They'll use another number again, I'll block it.
Mental health advocates warn sustained shame and fear can trigger depression and suicidal thoughts, and urge immediate support when harassment escalates.
You may want to work with a financial advisor or use budgeting apps to break your debt into manageable chunks. Even paying a little every month or every week as you have access to funds can help. Then, of course, you need to set mental boundaries around finances or around money. You need to avoid borrowing more. You need to avoid buying the things that you don't need. And you need to avoid trying to be like the Joneses. And, of course, avoid checking your balance, you know, obsessing over what you owe, because the more you think about it, the more you continue to drown in debt. You must also prioritize self-care.
The Apex Bank has repeatedly cautioned borrowers to avoid obtaining loans from these apps to avoid running into financial difficulties, as many of these unlicensed loan apps are illegal financial entities. In 2023, FCCPC led a joint task force with EFCC, ICPC, NITDA, and the CBN to clamp down on these predatory loan apps.
Any of my friend or my family to even collect loan now. Anything loan. I don't have anything to do with it again. No.
Regulators insist that harassment is a violation. If you get such threats, document them and file a report immediately, as no debt is worth a life. In Lagos for News Central, Victor Mbadike.
Many thanks, Victor. Just a quick note before I introduce our guest. Please, if you know of anyone who is depressed or contemplating suicide, they should know that help is available. You can reach out to News Central official handles on social media or the state government. Thank you. All right, let's discuss this really and get some further perspective. Social rehabilitation expert Dr. Oludare Maridoti and initiator of Debt Freedom Hub, Gabriel Marvel, they join me now for this conversation. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. This is a very serious matter and it affects, I mean, the cadre of people that you would expect would know better or may not. For those who do not fully understand what this means, who exactly are loan sharks and how do they operate? Let me start with you, Dr. Maridoti.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, I got introduced to this thing through some connects in Nigeria. I myself have also been victims of loan sharks because I have tried to help people pay back these loans whom I thought that, you know, were legitimate loan until, you know, when I saw that this loan was not ending and I was wondering, you know, despite paying over £1 million, that, okay, let me see the record of what you borrowed. And then what I found out was that out of trying to borrow just 120,000, less than 120,000 naira to buy foodstuff, over 3 months, over 30 million naira had gone through the account of these people. So these loan sharks, you find them online, you download their apps, and they, you know, lure you with easy disbursement of money. And then they also even put, because I actually investigated all the loan apps that sent this person money, and they also put there that their percentage rate is 0.01%. So you are assuming that you are borrowing a low interest loan on the ones that are, you know, investigated. But what they do is, assuming you borrow 100,000 naira, you ask for 100,000 naira, they will take 16,400 in account management fee, another 16,400 in service fee, and 8,200 in payment fee. So that's essentially taking 41%, 41,000. So you will not get 100,000 naira, you get 59,000 naira into your account. And then in 7 days, you are supposed to pay back 100,000 naira. If you don't pay it back, then they start adding interest. But, you know, so you think this is like maybe 41%, right? But no, it's not 41% because your interest rate is based on your principal. So if your principal is 59,000 and you are paying interest of 41,000, that is almost 70% interest rates. And I know for a fact that there's a case law in Nigeria, Akindele versus Merchant Bank in 1995, where a judge said that an interest rate of 48% is illegal. That is a case law. You can Google it. Anybody can Google it. So these loan sharks, by just even putting that 70% in a weak interest there, it is already illegal against our Nigerian law. And there's also a guide to charges for financial banks that CBN released in 2020 that anybody can Google and see. There is no fee that is more than 2% on those guides to charges. And if you are going to even charge fee, it's supposed to be on top of what I have borrowed. So the 100,000 naira is supposed to come to me, and then you charge me fee on top of it and then make me pay interest. But these people take this money. Now, you know, I said 70% interest rate, right? But that is within a week. And interest is usually always calculated annually, annual percentage rate. So if you try to...
From the get-go, the whole scheme is to defraud already impoverished people. Just hold your thoughts, Doctor. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Thank you for staying with us. Mr. Marvel, you heard the doctor, and my inference is that from the get-go, the intention is to defraud people who are already low on cash. Why do people, despite the experiences that has been shared over time, still turn to loan shark, knowing the risk?
Yes. First of all, I will always say that people have different reasons why they take loan from this loan shark. Primarily is because, number one, they give you loan without so much stress. There is nothing like come to the bank, you know, no collateral, you know, so the availability of urgent money, you know. But at the end of the day, it becomes a bigger trap than the reason why people even go into it. So people tend to turn into these loan apps or these loan sharks simply because they are the ones that are available. And the loan shark themselves, they are prying on two things. Number one, they are prying of the unavailability and the slow process of loan with our commercial bank. unavailability of loans for SME, small market enterprises, and number two, the ignorance of Nigeria concerning the law that govern loans in general.
I want to stay with you and just ask, from what the doctor said, these people employ a lot of tactics to compel repayment of the loan. How does this continue to exist despite laws in this country, law enforcement? How do these people continue to go unchecked?
Okay. Number one, they do, first of all, the strength of these people doing this is that Nigerians don't know the law that govern loans and the do's and don'ts of this act. And because of this, the law app tend to try on this because everybody is acting on fear. They feel if I'm owing loan, I have committed a criminal offense. And thereby these people can come to arrest me, these people can come to lock me up, these people can come to my house and fight me. Whereas, if they have such power, why are they not using it? They are not using it because they themselves are in clear violation of CBN law. They are clear violation of the Phobia Act. They are in clear violation of the Consumer Rights Policy. They are in clear violation of the MPRO, all violation. Now, why are there not, bodies to curb the excesses of these people? Number one, there is poor reporting. People feel what they are doing is legal, to call for their loan. If you follow my TikTok handle, PMG Global, you see where I made mention of people feel agreement is agreement. So somebody takes a loan, and let's say the loan is overcharged, because naturally a loan is not supposed to be outrageously higher than the CBN's loan standard. CBN give out loan to bank at 20. Currently now, July this month, last month, they give out loan at 27.50%, for MPRO. That means that's what they use to give loan to microfinance banks. So
at the heart of this is a lack of adequate knowledge for people. And to be fair, there are still people who are unable to access social media to get the value that comes with learning about some of these things. So, Doc, I'll just come with you in 30 seconds if you can. I'm going to spread the question between the two of you, 30 seconds each. Talk to us about how these people can better protect themselves and be aware, really.
For me, it is obvious that the government is not going to fight to uphold the laws, and that's my own opinion. So I believe that the only way all Nigerians can band together to defend themselves is to actually take this loan and not pay it back. Make them have non-performance loan, bankrupt them, give them elephantiasis, money outside, none inside. That is how you deprive them of the money to use to entrap another Nigeria. Because like it has been said, a loan is not a crime. If they have the powers, let them go and bring their police, bring their lawyer, bring their judge. Then you counter-sue them for defamation. You should collect their loan, bankrupt them. And that is the only way Nigerians can really protect themselves.
Not everybody has that emotional and psychological strength to withhold the pressure. Because I also have received messages from colleagues as way back as 10 years ago telling me how bad these people are. If these people know that these messages are being circulated, Mr. Marvel, I know the time is short, in 30 seconds, what sort of checks should people be looking out for if they must go for these loans, and how can they protect themselves?
Okay, primarily when they go for this loan, they should be very aware of the law, because the strength of these loan apps that are using is the overdue interest, daily overdue interest, which in CBN it is illegal. Overdue interest or late payment fee should not be more than 1% in an entire month. But these people charge compound interest daily. So when they know this, they go for loans and then they can stand by the law and deal with them totally. Number two, never go for any app that is outside the Google Play Store, because those are the ones that doesn't use policy. Those are the ones that can contact your general contact and mess you up psychologically. Number three, if you actually need a loan, it is better to walk into a commercial bank and reach out to them, dialogue with them concerning your business and get loan. Then lastly, a way to protect yourself, from harassment, if you have defaulted, send a disclaimer to your contact. Tell them to avoid any message that says that you are owing. And then anyone that defames you, anyone that threatens you, sue them.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your insightful comments. We appreciate your time. It is indeed a sore subject around. Let's head on to one of our headlines again tonight. The National Economic Council has expressed worry over the emergence of a vaccine-resistant polio virus found in the northwest region of the country. This formed part of deliberations raised by the council during the meeting attended by state governors and key economic managers deliberating on strategies aimed at stabilizing Nigeria's economy amidst rising inflation, dwindling revenue, and pressing security challenges. News Central's State House correspondent Bettina Uweli reports.
Chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. According to the governor of Gombe State, Inuwa Yahaya, who was in attendance, Nigeria is recording notable gains in its renewed push against polio, but the emergence of a vaccine-resistant variant in the northwest continues to raise concerns.
The progress so far made has shown that epidemiological data is on a downward trend from about 78 cases in 2024 as at the 33rd week, which is the week of our last meeting in August. Now it has gone down to 42 cases.
During the meeting, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy gave an update on the excess crude account, the stabilization account, and the natural resources account. Also discussed was the expiration date of the Nigerian Medium-Term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and preparation of a successive plan, the Nigerian Medium-Term National Development Plan 2026 to 2030.
And even the tax reforms and other, so regrettably those actions were not taken, partly because of the recovery from COVID and maybe other considerations, and therefore the anticipated result, a 7% rate of growth, was not achieved.
First, excess crude account, we stood at $535,823.39. Second, a destabilization account, we stood at $78,453,757,583.19. The third account that was presented was a natural resources account. We stood at $106,727,969,527 Naira 59 kobo. Thank you very much.
As discussions move from the council chambers to implementation, Nigerians will be watching closely to see how these resolutions translate into real improvements in governance and daily living. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina.
Outside Nigeria, European leaders and UK Foreign Office have expressed outrage after the deadly Russian missile strikes which killed at least 19 residents. The attack also caused significant damage to the European Union's delegation office and the British Council building, hitting deeply populated areas and damaged significant sites such as the British Council and European Union mission buildings. After this short break, we'll bring you business, sports, and entertainment. Do stay with us.
Nigeria's federal government has approved a new medium-term national development plan 2025 to 2030. This is yet to be launched in December. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, announced this after the National Economic Council meeting chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. The plan will replace the post-COVID 2021 to 2025 framework, which fell short of its 7% growth target due to delayed reforms, including subsidy removal and forex liberalization. Bagudu said ongoing reforms since 2023 and increased state revenues provide confidence for stronger outcomes. The 2026 to 2030 plan, part of Nigeria's Agenda 2020 2050 will emphasize policy continuity, job creation, infrastructure, food security, and social protection. Its preparation will involve federal, state, and local governments, the private sector inclusive, and the civil society, including traditional institutions. And straight to the equities market, the index retreated yet again 0.49% to close at 140,557.24 points, with market capitalization easing to about 88.93 trillion naira. And looking at sectoral performance, we see that the banking sector slumped 1.41% as Tier 1 counters continue to come under selling pressure. Insurance provided some mild support, gaining about 0.44% in renewed interest, while oil and gas dipped 0.02%. Consumer goods, industrial goods also dipped 0.92 and 0.45% in that respective order. That's it on business. Do stay tuned for sports.
The highly anticipated draw for the 2025-26 UEFA Champions League took place earlier tonight in Monaco, France. Defending champions Paris Saint-Germain will face Barcelona, Premier League sides Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle United, along with Atalanta and Bayer Leverkusen. 15-time champions Real Madrid drew both Manchester City and Liverpool. The latter will see a homecoming for Trent Alexander-Arnold, who left Anfield to join Real in the close season. Liverpool will also face Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid and Eintracht Frankfurt. Arsenal have tough matches against Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid, while Chelsea will also face Bayern Munich, FC Barcelona, Napoli, Atalanta and Benfica. The first matches will be played on Tuesday, 16th September, while the final will be held on Saturday, the 30th of May 2026 at the 67,000 capacity Puskás Arena in Budapest. And back home, the Nigeria Premier Football League has adjusted fixtures for match day 2 of the 2025-26 season. Newly promoted Kun Khalifa FC's clash with Remo Stars will now hold on Monday, September 1st at the Enyimba Stadium, Aba, instead of the Dan Anyam Stadium in Owerri due to ongoing renovations. In another change, Ikorodu City's tie against El Kanemi Warriors will kick off at 5:30 p.m. instead of the usual 4 p.m. Other fixtures remain unchanged, including Bendel Insurance versus Shooting Stars on August 30th in Benin City, Kano Pillars versus Wiki Tourist in Kano, Plateau United versus Katsina United in Jos, and Enyimba versus Niger Tornadoes in Aba. Defending champions of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, Nigeria will face Benin Republic in the final qualification round for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which will be decided in October. The Super Falcons, 10-time winners, will play the first leg away before hosting the return fixture between October 20th and 28th. Other fixtures will see Cameroon face Algeria, Senegal contend with Côte d'Ivoire, South Africa battle DR Congo, while Zambia take on Namibia. 11 teams will qualify to join host Morocco. The 2026 tournament will also serve as a qualifier for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil, with the 4 semi-finalists securing automatic qualification, which raises the stakes considerably. And that's it on sports tonight. I'm Okpeolu Adibari.
Time for entertainment, and the smiling man is here, Dewa.
As always,
Hi.
you know, anytime I'm smiling is always good news on Afrobeats. Well,
I expect
let me just
so.
jump right into it. As the All Africa Music Awards, Afrima 2025 nominations are out, and Nigeria's Afrobeat stars are shining bright. Burna Boy and Davido lead with 5 nominations each, competing for Album of the Year. Burna Boy's No Sign of Weakness and Davido's 5. Song of the Year and Best Collaboration. South Africa's DJ Mavorisa and Morocco's El Gran Toto also secured 5 nods, while Nigeria's Shali Poppy and Tanzania's Diamond Platinums and South Africa's Tyler each earned 4. Rema, Arastar, and Tanzania's Juma Jukes, each of them have 3 nominations, with Africa's top talents battling it out. Afrima 2025 in Nigeria promises to be an electrifying celebration of music. Felicity, the good part about this is that this is happening live here in Lagos. We're celebrating music, African music, and as you can see, Afrobeats is standing tall.
We're just repeating something we already know. Afrobeat is up there.
Okay, well, we can beat our chest and say we are the best, Africa.
Well, we will always say we are the best.
Well, that's all we have on entertainment tonight, by the way.
And that's our offering tonight. Would love to hear from you as always. Please send your feedback to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on all socials to do that as well. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind attention. Have a good night.